So this is an unfortunate kind of video to have to make, really, in response to another video, or really in response to the comments from another video. The video that's titled "Why Games Workshop Killed Fantasy." And, well, let's just say that Warhammer players are considered by many as almost like a form of cliche to be a more difficult crowd, let's just say, more likely to complain, to appear as if they hate Warhammer and Warhammer players more than non-Warhammer players. And I know I can appear to be that way sometimes. I can put on my rant pants and start going. But I will also say that I think I've got a sense of fairness when I do, in that I direct it towards a certain aspect of something, and then I will look at the positive sides of a thing. So let's just say it's Age of Sigmar, right? When I direct ire at it, I'll attack the fluff. I'll attack the way that everything's hyperbolic, and I'll attack the way that the designers created it, the way it was almost like pistachey jokey rules at the beginning, and then it got better or whatever. And then I'll say, but the model range looks gorgeous, and I'm sure the gameplay's fine and great. So I'll be balanced, I think. Just like all of us, we have things we like about a thing and things we don't. Now, a number of the comments that appeared on that other video, I think, were possibly getting on for rude, caustic, at the very least, quite harsh, or what have you. So the idea of even raising it as a question, I think, has upset people. That's essentially what we're doing here, because I've made a video called Why Games Workshop Killed Fantasy, and then I go into a number of different aspects that, to my knowledge, from following various different social elements, were contributing towards that, right? So I'm just laying them out as I see them, and kind of with my own style waxing upon them. And there's a lot of comments that with the kind of feeling of, well, this is already a foregone conclusion, you don't really need to make this video, this is obvious already why they did it, and here it is. So there's that almost like, you didn't need to make this video, you're stupid kind of thing. I'm right, this is the reason you're stupid. Effectively, that sort of implies, not all of you may mean that. I can't necessarily let go the fact that Fantasy AOS transition happened the way it did. I don't like the way it happened, right? You could say that there's possibly some sort of autistic spectrum thing going on with me. I believe I do have that somewhere, and I'm really desperate to get checked. I did that 16 personalities thing, and I'm an INTPT, so that would absolutely make sense straight away, right? Anyway, possibly, and again, not to try and be inflammatory, and it probably will be inflammatory, this video, which is the irony, really. Look down in the comments and see if this one got crazy, right? Or at all disrespectful in any way. Because, Warhammer players are very polite. And it could be that there's some autism as well in certain people that make snappiness and kind of without that filter thing, perhaps. And I'm not trying to be that guy. And I'm not trying to do the dick thing against the commenters and saying you're all autistic, that's why you said that. Maybe there's some contributory thing there in some cases. And I know that one person did actually say such a remark on a different video, which was very nice of him, because he was quite caustic on one reply to another video where I asked a question. And then he came back and said, that's my autism kicking in. It's a publicly made comment. It wasn't a PM, which is why I'm referring to it. And that's very nice of him to say that, And I replied back, yeah, it's been a bit tough lately with the comments, so that's really nice of you to say that, actually, So one person, I don't really want to single anyone out really, but I will just pick up on the fact that one person said, along with this is a foregone conclusion, it died because of sales and that's it. Why did you need to make a video about it, right? Okay. One person added, well, you don't seem to have any business sense, and then laid out this is what was happening with GW. You don't understand how business works. You're in the fantasy world. You're living in fantasy, and quite frankly, you're sitting there, you're investing in law, you're doing all that thing. It's nice. Escapism's nice. Right now, the real world is increasingly becoming harder and harder to live in. I don't really want to experience this world. How about that? I think escapism is required right now. I'm not turning to alcohol and drugs, right? So, and to sort of say, well, you clearly haven't got any business sense. I didn't know that you needed to have business sense to have a right to have a view and make a video on the hobby and to be allowed to even exist in this world, to not have business sense. Not everybody has business sense, I'm trying not to be caustic myself in response, but it's very challenging when you've got a lot of comments of that nature. And the other irony is that it's a very much watched video with a whole bunch of likes pouring in and whatever, right? So that's kind of what a channel needs, right? It's the inflammatory thing. But why is it inflaming people? Why is it upsetting people who turn up and say you shouldn't have even made the video? So people are saying, oh yeah, you didn't have to make it, or it died because of financial reasons. They weren't making enough money. End of video. So they're actually saying end of video. End of video on me, and I'm doing a whole spiel. I'm doing my bit. That's what we do here, right? And then we see you at the table at the end. We do the whole bit, right? That's why you're here, to get my take, right? And whatever, because I do me, you do you, I do me, right? But there are other views on this matter of why fantasy died. So especially on other social media and other platforms that I'm a member of, other people are still asking questions about it. So just because, I had so many, obviously, Games Workshop executives, you can only have been, to have so much insider knowledge and expertise with definitive answers to why fantasy died. When Games Workshop haven't announced it publicly, why fantasy had to die. But they know. They know. So, I should be honoured, really, to be in the company of... So, yeah, I'm getting sarcastic there. I'm getting sarcastic. And we can snark back a bit. And, maybe I'm waving a bit of an autism flag. But that's what you're here for. You're here, right, for the rant and the counter rant as well. And we do that sometimes here. But, yeah, lucky me, though. Eh? So many. Anyway, we'll stop that. I think it's less about kind of not accepting some so-called agreed idea that the models weren't selling. I know that. I know they weren't selling. I said that in the video. I think it's more about addressing the fact that I'm seeing a lot of people around me that are still uncertain. So it's a video for everyone to address their uncertainties and put them forward and say, well, I think there was a number of contributing factors to why that might have happened. But I think, there's another person that's basically said on the video another reason that why, that wasn't anything to do with, it wasn't selling. Another person commented on the video saying basically something along the line, I paraphrase, they couldn't control the IP, which I said, by the way, as well as one of the reasons in there. So they're basically parroting what I said, so maybe not watched, I don't know. But they said something different, which they're allowed to say, because it's the comment section. End of video. So they've said something else, end of video. So they are actually then going against the majority of other comments. So suddenly, what, is that person going to get jumped on? because they've said something that's no, it's the video maker that's going to get jumped on, and I don't know why. Isn't it incredible? Because I never fully got to know. You know, it would be nice to definitively know in my head. But I think it's not just about knowing. You know, I do know, and I believe that there's some contributing factors. So sue me. So what? You know, is it such a crime that I've laid out a few factors that I think are contributing to it? It's a shame, isn't it, that I had to make this video. Really, it's kind of a shame that I felt compelled to have to make this video. It'll be a greater shame if I have to indeed delete the prior video because it just goes nutsoids, you know. I read today on a social media post in a group that I'm in. I'm in several groups, so I'm here and there and interacting with a lot of different persons that come from different fields and specialisms and levels of depth within the hobby. Okay, and one person today said, well, I heard that fantasy died due to the unapproachable gatekeeping behaviour of its players in and around especially 8th edition, and the kind of way that people seemed to be pushing the game. This is what he said, not me. The way that people kind of seemed to be pushing the game towards a more win at all costs tournament facing viewpoint, right? So that everyone started to feel impelled that they were going to have to field 2,500 point armies to be allowed to play other people, because that's like the accepted meta idea around everything. And once they get this idea in their heads, you know, that then you know, you're being a problem if you want to come and play 1,500 points or something, because other people need to be able to do this to get the most out of the system, and then you're forced to have to do a lot of painting and buy more models and put 50 things in one unit, and oh my god, it's a real horrible experience because you don't want to have to buy and paint that many things and do all of that. How shitty is that? And it's pretty shitty, right? And I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. How about that? In 8th edition, I didn't like the having to field a whole bunch of stuff. This is what someone else said, but now I'm saying I didn't like a number of the rule ideas that were put forward in 8th, and I don't like this whole massive units madness that started being suggested for meta play. And I'm not a meta player. I can half play meta sometimes, you know, just like do a few better elements, but I don't really want to make my opponent have a bad time of it. So it depends, I guess, kind of who I'm playing. If I was playing like a pure meta guy, and I know that, I'll probably still play friendly style against them a few different ways and come up with different lists. And then I might try something out against them to actually, like, right, now I'm going to use the full-on strength of my army, like you've done against me 3 games in a row. Now I'm going to turn it on and try the meta list, because at that point, if you're trying different lists out and you're going narrative list and this and that list and other list, you're just trying your army composition, you're playing with it, not reading some cookie cutter. But then if you're, you know, trying the accepted meta one, is part of that whole experimenting circle, as long as you don't stick with it and go cookie cutter, cookie cutter, cookie cutter every time, right? Not saying that doing that is actually wrong, right? I'm not saying that those players are playing it wrong. Actually, what I'm saying is that to my experience, I'm not going to let myself fall into that, because I don't want that to be for me, and I'd rather not play the same game against the same person over and over again, or keep playing against the same list of the same kind of army, the same exact composition, you know, which I think would tend towards boring, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? So that's my counter to it. Anyway, so I think some of these videos and some of the not being able to let go is the fact that I was such a fan, to my detriment. You know, so invested into it. The role play and the fantasy over multiple editions. I don't go back as long as some, and my beard isn't as long as some. It's quite shorter now. It's at the moment, actually. It's been longer. But, you know, I was invested. I put a lot of time and energy and love into that thing. So there's the pain, the trauma of actually experiencing the loss of it, going through it, that pain, you know, for the love and the pain. And so it's just coming out there, you know, and saying, this really hurt, and it's really hard to accept, which, you know, shows that it was painful. But, you know, one last point to leave you with here that I'm struggling to get my head around here is that for those people that obviously have turned up with a fairly critical view, like, you know, maybe Warhammer view players can be fairly critical, especially online and not face to face, where it would be even more inappropriate. But anyway, for someone that knows why GW killed fantasy, they know, for them, you know, no uncertainty, for them to actually turn up on a video, see the video, why GW killed fantasy, and then click on it, and then watch it, but they already know why, but they've clicked on that to watch it. So just the act of that is almost inflammatory. Clicking that button or pushing that mouse is almost inflammatory, because they know, and now they're trying to, what they want to see someone either confirm what they already know, which is pretty boring, right? Or they want to see someone say something that's going to upset them because it does not conform immediately to what they think. It's going to lay out a few factors or whatever and style something out. And so they know that what they're trying to get isn't necessarily going to be right, and it's like, oh, I must know if this person's wrong, and oh, I'm going to click, now I'm going to comment that this person's wrong. I already know why. So if you know why are you watching the video about why GW killed fantasy? Like, what's going on with that if it's not an attempt towards some sort of internal antagonism in response? And if indeed it is an antagonism that's being incited in you because something's being offered up which is somehow setting you off, then I would ask the question, why is that doing that to you? You should ask yourself that question. Why is that doing that to you? Right. With that sad task over, and who knows whether these videos are going to continue to exist, because I don't want negativity around on this channel, you know. I'll see you at the table.